Good afternoon to everyone, especially to our special guest, Miss Iryna. I'm Tamanna Bahar from Enterprise in Ecole, a skills development journalist. I'm delighted to welcome you to today's EESD journalism webinar titled Investigative and Crisis Reporting and Covering Truth in Conflict Zones. We are honored to have you with us, Miss Iryna Kopanytsia, if I don't make miss.
Kopanytsia.
Yeah. I'm also just wanna say that we are honored to have you here today. Miss Iryna was a COO of White Ribbon campaign in Ukraine and international campaign against domestic violence, a woman rights activist, humanitarian, and public speaker. With a bachelor degree in organization management and MBA training in luxury brand management, SAC School.
If you want, I can introduce myself, and it maybe would be easier for you. Yeah.
It doesn't matter for me. Yeah.
Okay.
If you want, you can also do it by yourself. Yes, because it's somehow like your policy.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. For yours, these names and these for pronunciations can be a bit confusing. Yeah. So generally, from the beginning, I would like to say that I'm not a just pure journalist myself, but in all parts of my life, in all stages of my life, analytical reports, analytical works, or synth works, and journalism was definitely a part of my obligations. So I have quite a different background and unbelievably quite huge diversity in my experience in my life. So it used to be in the very, very past from like TV host, from modeling, traveling and living all over the world, like from Milano, Paris, some Asian countries. Then also decided to have like MBA in Singapore for luxury brand management. Then it switched for PR, for marketing, with different corporate clients working all over like 90 small cities all over my country. Then it was event management. And then a huge part of my life, it was political consulting. Political consulting and international media, because it's always come together. I mean, it's one of this international media, it's one of the strongest instrument, on my opinion, on fighting with and corruption and in political campaigns and with different other issues. So that was of course, it was in between Brussels, Strasbourg, and Washington, because still, at least for my country, these cities are kind of opinion makers, opinion leaders in political and in the media sphere. Was also working in London for Bell Pottinger Privé. It used to be for a while for one of the strongest in the world company on political consulting. Like they created Margaret Thatcher as a project from the beginning. 11 presidents were our clients. And again, of course, political consulting, it's a very tight tie with different IT online instruments, and again with media. Then it was experience on coming back, was head of our national beauty contest. So I was building communication with diplomatic representatives, provided participation in international contests. And then it was again back to JR, lobby, political consulting. But when the war started, of course, everyone's life just changed. Like everything, like most of us had to build life from the beginning. So of course, big part of my work on the beginning of the war, like first year, it was social sphere. But social sphere, like it's not just some charity or humanitarian. I decided that my background and my network, it's just demand from me some very much more some specific focus and much more difficult things. For example, that a lot of other people cannot do, but where I can be very effective. So I did a lot in different research of kidnapping issues as in the war in occupied zones, but also in Europe, because we had quite a few criminal cases, on kidnapping cases on the territory of like Portugal, Poland, and in between Ukraine. Also, then part of my activity during the war, it was about our cyber volunteering group. So this is things connected with OSINT, so it's like research in open sources. And at this topic, I will point later a bit more detailed. So generally, like, you have overview about my background now. Then I decided maybe like 1 year ago that still I need to make more narrow focus, because like doing a lot of things at the same time, even if I'm effective, even if I have enough expertise, but like sleeping 2 hours a day, it's not normal. It cannot last for long. And so, we still have social vector in working with refugees and different issues connected with refugees. Because when you decide that, oh, we can just focus on like rehabilitation and that's it. But anyway, you face issues like war crimes. Then you have do some research. You have to prepare some analytical reports. You have to communicate with world international analytical think tanks, and this is also like a necessary part of the work. What things I would like anytime you can interrupt me, or you can ask questions or change my focus, up to you. What I would like to mention, it's like my insights, what I noticed during the war. We have quite a lot of, first short overviews, that we have quite a lot of journalists, international journalists, and our local journalists. International journalists, they receive accreditation usually, and it should be confirmed either from military administrations, either from departments of present administration. And of course, on the government level, it's all over the world. All governments try to keep, where they can, a bit control on information that is being delivering inside country, outside country, just to follow their agenda. And it's good if they like have agenda. Sometimes government cannot have some set up agenda. Sometimes it can be some a bit chaotic things, like what you would like to deliver to the world, not to deliver, and why not to deliver. For example, I faced on the first months of the war, after deliberating of Kyiv region, when it was a lot of cruel cases of war crimes, rapes, and a few our organization, like my mom is psychologist, and she was working with a group of 20 people with these raped cases. And after, 2 journalists made an interview about this situation. One was from Japan, and one was from one of the quite key newspapers, Asahi, and one was from Latvia or Lithuania, I don't remember, frankly speaking. And then in a while, this journalist contacted us telling like, sorry, like your government didn't let us give this information or put it somewhere. They say that we can lose our accreditation. For me, I mean, some things I cannot understand. Some things can happen on stupidity, or some things can happen because some other parts can lobby their interest, and sometimes this lobbying can be in such a hinky way that you can never notice. It's not so obvious. And if we're talking today about our conflict and the parts of our conflict, what I noticed even from living and working in London 10 years ago, that they like countries unbelievably okay. For now, for example, I'm talking about who is enemy for us. in this war, and they are unbelievably smart in their strategy. Like they are building such a long-term strategies, like for 10 years ahead, using their agents worldwide, using giving bribes to politicians, to journalists, or sometimes politicians and journalists can be manipulated, not even realizing that. For example, some good initiatives can be opened, or some new think tanks can be hired, some ex-officials, ex-politicians. They are getting just their salary, so it's like not a bribe, it's just a salary. But then sometimes when you dig deeply and when you see the roots of financing, the roots of creation, of registration, of some European, British, American, a lot think tanks, then you see completely different countries. And they are not lobbying interest very directly. They can be in sleeping regime, like for 5, 7, 8 years. So they just act as regular think tank. Yeah, they prepare some analytical work, analytical reports, some articles. They can have their media, or they can have their journalists or representatives running some blogs. But then finally, in some necessary moment, you can find out that they just seeding some ideas. And also, it's so not directly that you sometimes you need to be really smart, really with their high critical thinking, and you should sometimes really dig very deeply to realize that it's a seeding of the same ideas, of some ideas that got arise like in half a year, in 1 year, in 2 years. So this situation also we faced with. And some moment, team of my NGO, we prepared a huge OSINT report on kidnapping children. It was maybe like over 50 pages, and it was just from open sources information. It was with no any like militaries, nothing. Just we were studying all Telegram groups, all information online, offline, in European countries, in Ukraine, in Russia, Belarus, in America, in different think tanks. We looked through all possible like journalist or military journalist visits, and just put it together. And it was interesting that we realized, for example, in communication with Congress, being in US, that no one in the world actually was doing this. For me, that was very strange and weird, because like, why? It's obvious, it's on the top, that it is the most important topic that we can use in geopolitical issues, in war crime issues, like kidnapping, yeah? And but we realize that yes, sometimes we think that, oh, who I am, I'm just a person from like NGO, or I'm just a person from, I'm not even government official, yeah? Maybe some other big countries, of course they already took care about it. But no, believe me, not so many initiative and really deep critical thinking people in the world. Just believe me, I faced so much. I never communicated so much with governments, with military officials of European countries, of European Parliament, of America, of Great Britain, like never ever before the war. Because before it was like a part of job for me, but in today reality, like it's my life, life of my relative, my friends. So of course I try to do and to be even 100 times more effective. So this another my point, that you should really realize that you should be self-confident and appreciate yourself, your background, and believe me, sometimes even people from very top position, from very top departments, from very top agencies, from very top political positions, sometimes you can be really more smart, more active, and do better job. So if you know your goal, if you want to deliver something to the world, you should just prepare, go and do that. Also, we used to have some volunteer girl. It was just a student girl, like Ukrainians that moved to Europe, that just decided to make a website or a genocide. So she was just few months studying historically this problem all over the world, and preparing this information. It was like research, like analytical report, it looked like. And again, when we were delivering this information and using it in communication with some authorities from other countries, we realized that actually nobody was doing this. So we have quite a lot of NGOs who are working on the issue of war crimes and genocide. But most of them are so busy with their job that they just don't have time to prepare a huge analytical public works. And again, it happens that this was again very unique thing that was prepared just from very young student, like Zlata, she was like 18 years old. And she did a job that didn't do huge think tanks who financed with millions or maybe billions of dollars a year. The next, so one of my key ideas that critical thinking, I guess it's the most important in today's world. It doesn't matter, it's in journalists, it's going about zones of conflicts or wars, everywhere. You can't even imagine how much propaganda, how much paid articles, how much media journalists that are under control of one or another country. Doesn't matter. Like every government want to control media all over the world. I mean, it's normal. Just we should take it as reality, as our life. The next step, it's a question of our choice, of our ethical standards. Like if it's okay for us, like to get some job, to get some salary, and just to follow agendas that we receive, it's okay. If we have some ambitions, if we want to make some change in the world, and I think it's very proper time happened today to make some change in the world. Because as I see, it's not just a question of our war, of my country. It's a question of a lot of disaster all over the world. It's a question of a lot of international organizations that we see it as a bubbles. A lot of huge military machines, just a bubbles. Like lobbying institute, one side is good thing because it's helped to fight corruption on the prime stage, but the others, because it make it more transparent, the situation, negotiations, cooperation in between business and government. But the other thing, it made like a bad joke with us where lobbying exists, because anyone who has money, he can quite officially lobby any interest of any person or of any government, any country in the world. So critical thinking and our personal ethical standards, I guess it's just a question that we should ask ourselves from the very beginning. Like we should realize that really each small personality can do unbelievable change in the world. Believe me, it's true. So many things I've seen from people around that surprised me, that people sometimes even without any English, without any ability, skills to communicate with the entire world, they initiated such a huge and important change. Sometimes it was like on a policy level change, sometimes really it's, for example, like together with organizations that it used to be CEO movement, White Ribbon, we had focus on domestic violence. And so we once we decided to study some aspects of legislative system regarding domestic violence in the world, and we realized that it didn't change from like in Hague Convention, it didn't change from like 1970 with something. So it means that already last 50 years, when the world's been changing every year, but we didn't have any change. And if, for example, refugee from one country moved to, we had example with America, because some colleague and friend of mine, it used to be her personal issue. When she as a refugee moved there and had an issue of domestic violence with her husband, who also came with her there, she wasn't safe, she wasn't secured, so that's why we decided, okay, now we need to initiate change in Hague Convention. Yes, it took us quite a few years, but we're now on the final stage to pass it and to get support like in American Congress, and then to proceed all necessary next steps. And it's like 3 activists from organizations without some special financing. So we have to find financing for our initiatives. So applying for grants, for some businesses to support us. And it's not like our government, unfortunately, not support most of initiatives and most NGOs. So people have to act themselves, initiate projects, initiate necessary change, not to think that probably someone know better, or probably these people on position, they have this position because they know better. No, believe me, sometimes really you know better. And if you study some question and you know what is necessary, you know some gaps there, believe me, it can be that you know better than anyone in the world. I've seen some questions here in our chat.
Yeah, there are some questions that our participant had. First of all, Bakhtawar had written that what are the handles that journalists face during coverage in conflicting cases?
Handles mean like what problems or what?
Yeah. Let me clear it. Sometimes just we're also living in a conflict situation in unsecure countries like Afghanistan, Pakistan, and journalists, especially female journalists, are facing so many conflicts. So how they can handle this?
Okay, what my advice would be, it's and for security and for corruption of government, as I guess we have this exist in all mentioned countries by you, in my country, and all over the world, just on different levels. What is my instrument that we used, and sometimes it's the only that can work. It's engaging international community and international media. So you should just you should not be afraid that, if I scream loud about it, if I deliver this, it can be insecure. No, believe me, insecure is to stay and to keep it, and to afraid to share it. Because actually sharing and screaming publicly about it, this is some measures of some instruments to secure yourself. Because in these situations, some or local like power authorities or government or some oppositional powers or whoever you're afraid of, they will think twice. Do they need this huge world scandal or huge conflict in between countries just because of you? We usually use this instrument when we had some issues of more like political issues with people from business, with journalists, and the same in conflict zones and in regular period. So attraction of international media. So it's for that how we build this communication. For example, in my activity of my NGO, doesn't matter, volunteering, cyber direction or social, my NGO, I need to build these relations. For example, if you are not communicating with anyone, then you have some issues and you try to contact. Of course, you will have some delays with answers because you are not so important with them. But if you build a communication, already trying to be interesting or useful for some think tanks, analytical centers, medias, some media hubs, then you'll definitely have a quick response. So doing some projects we involve, so we write ourselves invitation, introduction to participate our projects, to be speakers there, to then we have feedback at least, which topics they are interested in, which they are not interested in. Then we try to provide with some, meanwhile, interesting analytical information for them. And it always works because, you know, I don't want to offend journalists, but unfortunately in today's reality, a lot of journalists all over the world quite lazy. They lazy to check information. They lazy to prepare very deep analytical articles or information on some topic. And if you do this job for them, believe me, that works. When, for example, we do some offline events and we invite journalists, if we write ourselves all these releases or some versions of release, believe me, in 100% of events, they use our release. They don't write their own because it's easier, it's quicker. They do and go ahead. So attraction of international community, international media, and being, I mean, this the second advice. It is my subjective, but because the first, I'm 100% sure that I can confirm, and a lot of people can confirm it. Second, it is my subjective, but I'm sure that it works, that you should be quite aggressive in your rhetorics, in your communication with people from who you feel insecure. For example, I had in my country a few situations when I had even like to write letters to the Minister of Justice saying like, of course it was unofficial, in very correct way, but it was the idea was like, listen, this and this going on. This and these people are involved. They are like really criminals. You can search them. Okay, it took too much my time to fight with them, and I see you support them. I've seen some signs on the document. Or this should stop, or it will take me maybe a few days to deliver this information to all my international network and community all over the world about that. And, you know, 2 times it worked immediately. It had effect. Because again, it's the same background, because person starts thinking that, okay, maybe this is bluff, maybe she's just cheating, but still there is possibility that I'm not cheating, and still looking through my background, they can see working here, there, with this, and Congress and London and politicians, and so probably she is seriously. She say it seriously, and why would I risk just because of her? I mean, this works, and those my colleagues who, for example, decided to follow position like, oh, I will go to Ministry of Justice to say, oh, I'm sorry, hello, like no one like and afraid weak position. Everyone appreciate and take seriously only position of power.
Okay, and here's also another question from Atifa Faizi. She writes that what are some of the key ethical dilemmas journalists face during the investigating report, and how can one manage these challenges effectively?
what I noticed in during the war, in journalism and war zones and conflict zones, is first of all, it's influence of government, local government. They always try to influence, they always try to control, they always try, for example, if we're talking about our conflict and our international journalists working here, of course, our government wants them to say that, oh, everything going on thanks to the government, thanks to administrations. But actually, everything is going on in our country and good things and change, just thanks, in my opinion, again, mostly thanks to the people, activists, and militaries. And so I also faced quite a few issues which happened with some friends of mine. Once it was with a journalist from Denmark. Like she considered one of the best journalists there and famous. And after Kherson deliberation, she made an article saying like, wow, people and militaries are great. They're amazing. They're heroes. But she didn't say anything like, oh, president or some officials or ministers are great. Just it was her opinion. It's okay, and it was something that she seen personally on her eyes coming there, and our government just took back her accreditation. And it was funny because in that moment they didn't even think about further steps. And further steps was because she's quite a noted journalist in her country. So of course she applied for embassy, she applied for their military administrations, like what the hell is that? Like, what is the reason? And of course it was after, it was quite a big scandal. Of course it was not in media, because unfortunately local media are under control not to criticize government. But it was scandal just because I know some officials, Danish officials in USA, and they told me that, yes, actually the ambassadors came, they asked for our Minister of International Affairs and telling like, what is this? And it was quite a scandal. So, and it was just of stupidity. Just they didn't think, analyze ahead. And they just decided like to show who is the most powerful. But to any power, you can find always a counter power. So this is like, I think it is the biggest problem, control of any local governments and local and international journalists. Again, how to fight with that, how to prevent this, only involving your country authorities and international authorities. I mean, unfortunately, it's the only instrument. And really, I think that involving international media for now, it's one of the most powerful instrument for safety sometimes, for fighting corruption, for delivering right, true information, and to get support for that, to prevent. I mean, yes. So this is the main. Of course, the other thing is safety. It's because quite a few journalists were killed during our war, and no one. You should just understand that no one will secure you apart from yourself. In any war, I mean, there is no situation under 100% control when it is the war. For example, like I live in Kyiv, it's more or less okay in Kyiv. Yeah, we have like missiles, we have every day, but mostly it's okay. Not so many wounded people, not so many killed like lately, last like months. But still it happened. For example, like we've been working with some rehabilitation center. It's a chain of 3 clinics, and then one missiles, it happened to come to one of their clinics. And then it happens in 1 week, and 6 doctors were killed, like 6 key doctors. And so 1 week it happened when I had like 6 funerals of close to me people, with whom we've been cooperating, working. Also, I used to have issues when some friend of mine, she's like Spanish Jewish volunteer. who was helping together with her team and with journalists. They were helping for people from frontline zones to get them out from there. And she and her colleague were killed as well. So, I mean, it's war. Again, you should be smart. You should be not too brave where it's stupid. And I mean, even local militaries, even military administrations, even if they have intention and they try to keep secure international journalists, it's a war, it's conflict. They cannot guarantee you 100%. And you can never rely on someone. You have yourself. You are the most important for yourself. So you should get some build your local networking with journalists, militaries, to get information, to get some insights, to get some information about where is more or less danger. So it's just your personal job, your personal risk. Just be responsible for yourself.
Here's also another question from Jannat. She writes, in times of war, how do you verify facts and information when access to sources and reliable data is limited?
So how we verify the information, yeah, and how we check, yeah, this is actually one point that I wanted also to mention, that you know, sometimes when I got some articles, even sometimes with international, American, or wherever think tanks, when you start analyzing, digging, sometimes you can find out, even in the most famous in the world think tanks, that they actually base their information for some propaganda or for some paid articles. So what I base on, I always try to dig the prime source, to see where this information also you can find, and either this is some personalities who can be, for example, bots from social networks, or this is some articles. If these articles, I look through this media and just analyzing myself with critical thinking, I have my own conclusions about this media that posted primary this information. But you know, when it's going about propaganda or disinformation, more often the background, if someone posts in social network, because it's easier, because the volume of disinformation should be huge, and when you see that this is some personality, then again, you should study the profile of this personality, Google this personality, sometimes write to some mutual friends, or write to this organization that mentioned in profile, because again, people who prepare this information are also not stupid. They won't create new empty profile. They create real personalities. And again, you should dig this. There is some instruments based on AI that do this job for you, yeah, like searching. But unfortunately, there are no some cheap or easy instruments just for regular everyone usage. There is some soft that's been used on government levels. I know like 6 or 7 countries use this. It's some American soft. Israel are very also strong in some softs like that. But again, unfortunately, I know that it's been used on government levels. I don't know why, because it will be very convenient to have these tools for all people. But no, for now, we should just find for a prime source and just analyze the prime source or personality from social networks.
Thanks. And
again, what I add that, for example, sometimes we think that information is hidden. We need to have some insiders somewhere to get some information. But believe me, like 95% of information you can just find in open sources. Yeah, sometimes it's not enough just journalism, being a journalist and just Googling it. Sometimes you need some IT friends, or I don't know, hackers friends who can also make some research from some darknet or somewhere else. But mainly in open sources, you can find really 90%. Sometimes, you know, even it's enough from telephone to Google one other article, some social networks, and you have quite enough information.
Anila had two questions. First question is, how can journalists stay objective when covering sensitive stories? Should I come through the second question, or we should answer
Yeah, I
this?
see. Okay, let's answer for this.
Okay.
I think that it's like being objective. It's just a question. It's prime question of personality. It's just journalists from the beginning. Like you should decide to yourself about your ethical standards, about your principles. Like even if it's enough for you just to work for someone for something, yeah, and just prepare what they need, or you want to initiate your own investigations, raise your own topics, and they try to find people who are on the same page with you to do this together, to join efforts, or okay, better if you will try who to sell this topic, so it will be like also it will be financing for you. Yeah, but anyway, believe me, early or later, when you push your own topics, own agenda, earlier or later you will find some people who will help you with financing as well, or medias, or some businesses, or some analytical centers. So it's standards. It's just your own. It's a question of your own decisions. The same as talking about sensitive stories. For example, it's like I told you from the beginning about this. Cases of raped children, yeah, on Kiev region. Like my mom worked with a group where children from 9 to up to 15 years, groups of rape. And then my opinion that we had to use this information to show the world what's actually going on. Because, you know, I never seen like adult professional experience women psychologists that have I don't know, they were just crying as a hell sometimes what they seen. And my personal opinion that this, okay, to be pragmatical, yeah, and professional, that, okay, if this is happening, why should we not tell the world about it? We should tell this to use this as an instrument to push our necessary decisions, especially if the truth is even worse that probably you know and worldwide community know. So again, I guess that, and actually I was doing this, at least on personal communications with some officials, with people from Congress. So these sensitive questions, I think it's again should base on your personal standards and your personal decisions. For example, if 100 people around will tell me like, no, let's better not tell this, it's not good, it's too much, my opinion still like this, and I will still follow my decision on this issue. Because, okay, if some people give me some arguments, logic arguments, okay, maybe I can take it. Because sometimes on some war crime issues, I was informed that, for example, if you, by lawyers, that, for example, if you put some issue in media before you apply this case to International Criminal Court, that is considered to be not relevant anymore, or something like this. There is some law regarding that. Then, okay, I realized that, okay, I totally follow. I didn't know this, sorry. So it's just a question of decision.
Yeah, and Anila also questioned what role does technology play in investigative journalism in conflict zones?
It's a great part of different soft developers work in that. it helped a lot. It's so many instruments that some local IT groups, like local hackers, develop some software based on AI that help you not to waste a lot of time, but to do a lot but to do a lot of job and give you the result. The same like I mean, some softs, again, government try to keep it as a governments try to keep it as like only for government usage. But I'm in very tight contact with all our IT community, hackers community, and they help me a lot. So sometimes they get me some data, some information from some darknet. Sometimes they can do something much quicker than I can do. And of course, very helpful. And this is like some softs are for military usage, but it's again, all spheres are very connected, especially in war and conflict zones. Journalism, like some military lobbying issues, geopolitical, political, diplomatical. So I think that such soft, like for example, yeah, mainly it's like Israeli and American, yeah, like COVEPs we have solved, then we have, I mean, I would like this to be more popular for commercial usage, because I think this is really helpful for people, for journalists.
Yeah. And also Divya Kumari have
again
right.
like Palantir, like COVEPs, a lot of different softs that can be useful, but unfortunately militaries try to keep it just for military usage, but at least some part of this functional they could open actually.
Okay. Also, Divya Kumari have writes, being a female in a male-dominating society working for critical causes can be very challenging. How do you deal with it? What are your roles for life which you want to pass on to girls like us?
Let me read also myself.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess that gender agenda, it's a very relevant question, unfortunately, all over the world till now. Even even like for example, America is famous for taking care of women's rights, and the organization I used to be CEO of, this White Ribbon Movement, it's popular in over 90 countries, and it was initiated in Canada. And for example, in US, we have a very tight cooperation with Veteran Affairs. So even we mentioned on their website. So despite that, it's still an issue. So being a woman and being a man, it's different to move in politics, in business, in all sphere, I guess. Maybe not so in journalism, but I think it's safe, especially in the war and conflict zones where we have, you know, when militaries, it's like when male part of society, they coming back more for their like instincts, for their nature, yeah, because like this war, participating the war, like activating their like natural instincts, yeah, like being a male, I'm a male. And if in regular life, just like in business somewhere, then maybe it's not so big question. But then when the war comes or conflict comes and activating most of males, their basic natural instincts, like, oh, I'm a male, then yes, I feel that being a woman, sometimes it's, my opinion, it can be more difficult. Because personally, me, I face even till now always I face sometimes from people, from some politicians, especially when you are like a nice looking girl, yeah, as you are, as I see your colleague. I mean, at least whom I see, yeah, in our Zoom. I don't see all others, but I guess it's the same. Being nice looking woman, it's even more difficult, because sometimes men think that okay, I will send you my nude pictures. I guess you need them very much. Or I mean, it's funny, but people sometimes are crazy. I sometimes get it even from politicians on positions, you know, and or people think like, okay, let's go to the date, or like, let's go. You can join me. Let's go together somewhere. I mean, I try to use humor, yeah, like. Jokes, we like kidding, and just to slow down these topics or switch. Sometimes I try to be correct, but you know what is my conclusions? When you try to be too correct, people sometimes don't understand, and they getting anger that they don't get what they want, and then sometimes they try just to destroy you. They try to spoil your reputation just because you didn't follow their agenda. I don't have solution, frankly speaking, for these issues, because from year to year I keep facing this, and even now, even like from American side, I used to face few, unfortunately, quite powerful people with whom I had to be a bit not correct, because they were too much. I mean, when people writing, calling you like evening, nighttime, sending something too personal, and they don't understand when you're like correct, deny, rejection, sometimes you have to be a bit more rude. I guess so I don't know, like my formula and my solution is just unfortunately you have to be tricky, like you have to have some powerful, I don't know, friends group. Sometimes you should mention them. Sometimes maybe it can be even not true, but sometimes you have in such situation to mention it, and then man will think twice. Either you just a girl and that he can abuse or whatever, yeah, or he can get conflict with someone more powerful from him. So we unfortunately have to be smart sometimes and build again our over security around ourselves. But it's a problem. It's a big problem. I don't know if the world have chance to change this. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, because it's not about the law. It's not about organizations that fighting for your rights. We're talking about some
mentality,
genetic, some I don't know, like if someone is full of testosterone and he's acting basing on his nature animal instincts, what can we do?
I understand. I have faced also so many problems like this. Before coming to the next, yes, you want to continue?
No, I want to listen to you.
Okay, before coming to the next question, I'm just saying that if anyone have any question, can raise their hands and can ask directly as well. Irom Ahmad writes, have you experienced censorship or difficulty accessing information from either side of conflict?
Have you experienced censorship or difficulty from either side of the question? That like from another side of conflict or from I mean maybe I don't understand the question, but as I understand it, that like, of course, I mean, of course, the other part of the conflict is making technically everything for our side, not to let us get in any information. So like this blocking of VPNs, blocking of this geographical some parts, yeah, for access to their websites, to their informational sources, of course. I mean, of course, for our activity, we have to find out some people locally there, to build some connections there. The same we're doing from our side. We try to control and quit access to any sensitive or not sensitive or any informative data, whatever. I mean, it's typical for.
Yeah.
And yes, it's quite difficult things. It's really difficult. That's why I mentioned that sometimes you need to use all possible instruments and build tight connection with some IT hackers community, because sometimes if you are not with technical background, deep technical background, sometimes you may not even know how can they be helpful. But as soon as they are your friends, they can share with you. For example, we're in very tight communication with some groups who are AI developers, yeah. And they helped a lot on the beginning of conflict of the war to our militaries when we didn't have access yet from our partners for information, because it took time. It took like some weeks, months, yeah. So, of course,
Yeah.
No one will provide you with everything. You should search and build it yourself.
For sure. Shukriya has raised his hand. I think she has a question. Shukriya, you can ask your question. Shukriya, have you my voice?
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Do you have my voice?
Yeah. You can ask your
Okay,
question.
Okay. I actually wanted to ask that when I see the topic and it is mostly about conflict, so I'm thinking about a question like when we're living in a place where is conflict or maybe where is adversity.
War.
So, but we are thinking that we should uncover the truth. We should talk about what's happening in the hearts of our community, particularly girls and women. So in that time, like you have talked about like we should contact maybe international community or the people who should support us. But when we are young, like when we are even not 18, so in that time the people will not even accept our like invitation, or maybe they will not believe us. So in that time, what should we do? It is my question.
Answering. That's why I mentioned that it's a time when you should dig and build it yourself. Yeah, for example, when we started lobbying association of Ukraine, and international lobbying association with some girl, my friend she's actually from Kherson, from Ukraine, but now moved to Washington. We were writing some propositions to with a list of topics that we could prepare some analytical work. Then we were initiating some events, local events or online events, inviting. First we were searching on the way of building relations with different media and think tanks. We were searching the topics of their interest. So first you should, as we were doing, we were doing some events where we involved some officials, some notable people, some famous people. It could be different topic. For example, lobbying and political consulting, or for example, issues of veterans, or for example, PTSD treatments and best practices. So very, very different. And for very different event, we could check in interest. Sometimes, yes, we could get no answer at all for years for dozens events. But then some topic happens that was in interest for them, and they answered for our communication. And again, for example, like you could consider that like, oh, but I'm alone, I'm just a girl, why would they answer you? But you as a girl, you can initiate some online conference or test some few topics which would be more requested, more interest. This you can test in social networks, inviting people to participate or to listen or to give a speech. Then you can see that, oh, okay, this direction is can be requested and can be interesting. Then you can create your own NGO or write to some world international movement or organization to become their representatives there locally. It's different ways. I mean, it's again, there are no prepared tailored solutions. As more smart, creative you are, as more quick you can get somewhere. And believe me, sometimes it's not an issue of money. Believe me, so many things that changed a lot in the world we made without any money. We made just with our time, our involvement. Yes, it was huge involvement, huge time. And the difficulty is that meanwhile you should live somehow, you should eat something. So you should you should spend some time for something commercial for you. Yeah, I don't know, commercial articles, commercial whatever, or running someone social networks, like whatever that can bring you money. And other part of your time you can spend for this building these communications. It took us, yeah, generally maybe like no less than 10 years. And believe me, when I was working in, for example, in London, in Bell Pottinger, that used to be the biggest in Europe for that moment political consulting company, when I left from London back to Ukraine, because I realized that like it's my mentality, my people, I want to live here. So it was not like I got a lot of new from there. It was funny, but actually I delivered them a lot. So when I left, they were still cooperating for international media with this my friend from Kherson, because her communication with a lot of world medias was quicker, easier, and better, because they have some bureaucratic procedures, some very long and very sometimes expensive. And her connections and her instruments were much quicker, easier, and cheaper. But she was just a girl, Ukrainian girl from Kherson. And when I left, they still were working together with her on some, on making some information or some, I don't know, some cleaning projects, whatever, in media, online, offline. So don't think that, never think, please, it's the main. Be please very confident in yourself. Never think that, oh, you're just a small girl. Believe you as a small girl, you can change quite a lot for your country, for yourself in your life. And never feel shy to write to people who even sometimes people, oh, it's people from Congress, or it's people like, I like as an instrument LinkedIn, because a lot of people personal is there. But still some officials or politicians, yeah, we have some data, we have some our own internal data for ourselves with their emails of offices of politicians. It's always each politician or congressman have, I don't know, like 5 or 6 assistants in different directions. Yeah, sometimes hundreds of them cannot answer you. But if of 100, or for example, when we were doing some events in European Parliament, yes, you should write and call for 100 sometimes politicians, and then at least 3 representatives of offices of 3 of them give you feedback. And then you start communication. And if the result, if you have for your event, for your online conference or whatever, at least 2 or 3, it's, believe me, it's wow, because the next event you have one more, and then again, and then you realize that, for example, oh, you're quite in not bad communication with 30% of Congress. It's directly or indirectly through assistance. And it's not because you are not government official, nothing. You are just active and pushy and know exactly what you want and what you need. I also met one girl, unique girl, just she's an activist, which is obsessed with her PR, Ukrainian girl. And I always meet her, for example, once I met her on the stage of Kennedy Center, once I met her in Congress, and I was wondering, like, oh my God, like who she is. She don't have even some very good background. Just she's very active. Just she is ready to push everyone around when she needs something. Like, okay, I want to make event, some concert in Kennedy Center in Washington. She will push 100 friends and people around to help her to convince that how important is that, how important is this. And finally she had it.
I think for a journalist, age is not important. Power is important, and a power of journalism is only her pen and her voice that she just make it. I think when we just write maybe in a young age, 50, 40, and write or make a strong report, so it will be completely show your power. And when you have power of writing and making a good voice, then all the people will respect you and hear you.
I mean, I would love if I could agree with you 100%. I agree on first part that definitely the background should be your professional skills.
Yeah,
I mean, and sometimes it's, for example, for me, all my life was important to find some people who inspire me, very professional in some sphere, like in all over the world. I was trying to contact them, to write them, and to assist them with something. So for me, it was like kind of a small MBA, yeah, like getting their experience, like understanding how they work, their professional skills, how their algorithms of work. So it's really good to contact some best of the best and to give your assistance, to have internship in some the best with the best. But then again, the world is there is not like every way is justice, and the world is so logical, and the world would see your talent and appreciate you. Not always, unfortunately. Then again, you should be very confident in yourself. You should be pushy. You should not shy. You should know exactly what you want, where you want, whom you need, and just go directly and ask for assistance, ask for communication. You know, my small secret, which I use all my life, that people, even very high people on high position, they always like to be a mentors. Yeah, they like to help other people. And when you come to them with the questions, with advices, like please advise, please, what you tell, I need your opinion. So when you ask opinion or when you ask advice, this is a very powerful instrument. And a lot of people will give reaction and will start communication with you on that, because you are not asking for a job, for money, for whatever. You're make a compliment to their ego, because you ask for opinion, you ask for advice.
And there is also another question. For a particular politic propaganda, how do journalists raise voice of an issue while also maintaining their social activism dominated? Please your strategies.
I would ask you for me a bit to clarify the question. like how like to give correct answers to be sure that I understand correct.
Okay, they say that for a particular politic propaganda, because sometimes there are some propaganda in politics, how do journalists raise voices for an issue while also maintaining their social activists dominate?
Like how to prevent this political propaganda, or how to detect it?
No. Because you also mentioned that you're also a social activist. Also,
Yes.
at the same time, that when there is a politic propaganda, how can you raise your voice while you're just maintaining the social?
You mean how
activism?
we can compete with our social topics with political propaganda?
Yeah,
Yeah.
somehow like this. Yeah, somehow.
You know, it's again mostly like sometimes when your topic is not popular at all, that you can, I don't know, you can knock with your head in the door, but nothing will happen. If it's just unpopular, there is no request in society. So then, like, if you don't have money for this, for like lobbying and for spreading this information, then it's difficult. So anyway, you should search for opinion leaders. You should search for people who are on the same page with you to join efforts and just to push these topics together. I mean, I understand very good. It's probably regarding the topics of women issues, women rights in Afghanistan, because I know it just from some friends of mine who are in my network in LinkedIn, for example, because I don't see it anywhere in media, and because they just probably ignore and don't take these topics. That's why I'm telling that the future is for very creative and smart people with some very creative and smart strategies, because sometimes it's not about just, I need the money to find money to hire a lot of people to pay them their salaries and to write, I don't know, to write a lot of articles, and to compete. We can never compete with some government agenda, with some political propaganda. But sometimes, for example, we can use it, because, for example, like when I was working with some issues of veteran rehabilitation, and then some guy wanted to a bit promote himself and was ready to spend some money for that. And we, with my colleague, with my friend, we decided that, okay, so if we want to push this topic, we can join him, so he can be like a headliner of this topic. Not we are, but he will be. But in this way, he will get his result, because he will have association with good topic, and we will have our results. This topic will be pushed on those levels where we couldn't do it ourselves because of really lack of money, because sometimes you need to make a huge big offline event, invite a lot of politicians, journalists, whatever. So sometimes you should go for some compromise to push things which are important for you.
And there is also another question. What about your family as a journalist? Has your professional ever put your family in harm's way?
1 second.
Yeah, they're asking. Yeah.
1 second. Yeah, just had to answer. I mean, again, I'm coming back to my beginnings that I'm not. You can hear me?
Yes, we can. Please continue.
Yeah. We are hearing you.
Yeah, so I'm not personally a journalist myself, but it's always part of any activity. And sometimes some things that I initiated during the war were even more dangerous than a lot of journalists do. like these kidnapping issues or some war crimes application and cooperation with other NGOs and helping them to make these cases. I mean, the only thing how you can prevent is better, like it's my solution, my way, which I follow. As soon as I live still in country where the war is, so there is some topics which I never go public with, never in media, never in social networks, which I consider to be sensitive and that can put me in some danger. With some more neutral topics, yes, with them I can go publicly, I can go in media, I can go in social networks. I mean, this is kind of the only way. Again, like, we should understand that nobody will take care about our safety. It's only ourselves. And we should be smart. We should realize the risks. For example, I understand, okay, if I live in Ukraine, if I raise publicly topic about like how Russians kidnap our children, then of course I can be in danger. Yeah, if I put it in media and scream around it all over the world. So these topics I stay just for like personal topics or some informal communication, informal personal communication, or some very small groups like we discussed it here. Yeah, so I would never put this in article for Atlantic Council. And sometimes we like prepare some materials for them. And of course, better as less you put personal family information again in social network, as better. It's always better. Hello?
Mm-hmm. Is there any other questions? If there isn't any other question, so we are just going to end up the session. We are really thank you for joining us today, and I do have sound. Okay, by the way, we are really thank you for joining us today in special webinar on investigative and crisis. And all of us, we have learned so many things from you, and we are just really thankful of you that you have shared your experience, you have just shared your values from all of these things in our works, in our daily association, in our daily experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and for everyone here, and exactly for those girls, for example, who asked some questions. Yeah, like, please feel free to contact me in LinkedIn, and probably in some private communications I can give you some more detailed insights or instruments, like what exactly you can propose, how to write exactly. But I would prefer to stay this for some of these personal communications.
Thank you so much, Ms. Iryna. Thank you. That's a great help for all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I hope it was useful.
It was
Bye.
indeed. Thank you. Take care.